All right, you guys. So we got a bunch of pissed off parents out here in Arizona talking about basically what was sold to them as a leadership camp that was actually a CRT indoctrination camp out here in Prescott, Arizona. And basically, a bunch of people are pretty pissed off about it. So we were able to find a video from Vice that basically kind of was showed what went down at this camp out here in Scottsdale, Arizona. But before we get into all these clips here, let's go ahead and get into this. All right, check it out.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
We're losing our democracy!
More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
Wake up!
Before we get into that, let's get into this.
If you primarily studied the culture of your ancestors in elementary school, take a step forward.
If your ancestors were forced to come to the United States, not by choice, take a step backwards.
So this is what they call a privilege line, and they ask a series of questions about how you may be privileged in life. And if you can see towards the front, it's mostly white male. In the back, it's mostly black women.
If you do not have to think about race and racism every day, take a step forward.
Okay, so starting out with this first clip right here, it looks very similar to one that I saw on BBC TV back in the day, and it's basically one that they did back in the UK, where basically they line all these kids up on in a straight line, and basically they ask them a series of questions, that are based on race and things like that, and of course they're very, very specific, and they're trying to get a very specific outcome from it. The questions are stacked in a very specific manner, so that way they basically get you to feel victimized. So basically, they tell you, if like they'll ask you a question of privilege, and they'll say, if this is you, take a step forward, and so on and so on, basically. And then they're intentionally trying to move the white males to the front of the line. And basically, so the reason for it is because, like I say, I talk about it all the time. It's victim mentality. They need you to feel victimized. Basically, they need you to feel, like you're weak, and you're being oppressed, and and you need somebody that's strong, that can basically step in for you and stand up for you. Basically, that's the whole idea of basically, I guess, kind of a like I said, victim mentality. You have to make them feel victimized, so that way they can call upon you to be their fearless leader, I guess.
In town, where we found our common ground.
This is Anytown Leadership Camp. Atop a mountain in Arizona, detached from the distractions of the world, there's no horseback riding, creek swimming, or lake fishing. These young folks are here to lean into conversations most people try to stay away from. Conversations around race, diversity, and privilege.
All right, so that sounds pretty culty right from the start, right? They got the kids out there singing and chanting and doing all this and that stuff, and then they go on to say about what they do at the camp. They don't basically do anything related to camping. They don't go fishing. They don't teach you how to start a fire. They don't teach you how to pitch a tent. Nothing like that. It's fully about teaching you about race and the differences of race, and basically making you feel victimized about the color of your skin, and basically pointing out everybody's individual differences, because that's the way that you end racism, is you have super in-depth discussions pointing out every single aspect of racism, because that's not racist at all, right? It's basically, making people feel victimized by the color of their skin, or if you're white, making you feel like you're an inherent oppressor and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the way that you build people up, right? Is by making them feel victimized. And that's how we end racism here, okay?
Heard of prejudice or has an idea of what prejudice is?
Anytown Camp. What exactly is this thing?
So sometimes described as like a human relations camp, a leadership camp. We're talking about kind of all the isms. So we'll focus on racism, sexism, ableism, but then we're also focusing on like, how do you have a productive conversation?
Seems like they forgot, a couple of the isms there. They forgot like socialism, communism. Yeah, I'd even say it's getting on the point of Maoism.
Anytown has been stirring young minds in Arizona since the 50s. It was started by the National Coalition of Christians and Jews, an organization wanting to rid the world of bigotry. Now, there are dozens of Anytowns across America, but they all operate independently. Hey girl, do your thing and switch. Here in Arizona, campers pay up to $500 to spend the week talking about these controversial issues.
Jesus, no wonder these parents are pissed. They paid up to $500 to send their kid to this, basic CRT, victim mentality indoctrination camp. So basically, they say that it was started by a coalition of Jewish and Christian, people that wanted to basically end bigotry in the world and all this and that stuff, right? So basically, this goes to the whole, idea of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So it was started out with the best intentions of, we're gonna end, bigotry, we're gonna end racism, all this and that stuff, and it has slowly morphed, and it's basically it's flip flopped. Basically racism was a real prevalent thing back in the the early Americas and things like that. Okay, true. But at this point, that was a while back. I mean, things are pretty socially fair, in America, at least, from the perspective of somebody that lives in America, and it seems to be getting by pretty well, not being white and whatnot. But so basically, it's flip flopped. It used to be, racism is, you're inferior because of the color of your skin. Racism has now become, you're racist because of the color of your skin, right? It's basically, it's pointing a finger at somebody. It's basically, making a generalization on somebody because of the color of their skin. Just now it's in a different, it's reversed basically. Now it's basically, the so-called minority, which are basically the majority, pointing out these, basically all just ganging up on white people for some reason, and all just pointing, screaming racist, making generalizations on people that they don't know based on the color of their skin, and saying that this is the way that they're going to end racism.
How many of you have ever been in a situation where you were with someone saying something like racist, homophobic, just something hateful, and you were like frozen in that moment and had no idea what to do?
Matt Case is an Arizona public school teacher and one of the camp's 3 directors. But he first came to Anytown as a camper at 17.
When I first started, like in the 90s, I think we had a very, almost a little bit of a colorblind approach. And so what's changed there is we're gonna take a look at white privilege. We're gonna take a look at how that plays out through different identities, right?
Okay, so at the beginning, he, you could see him talking to these kids, and basically he's kind of thinking, what about, have you ever felt this? You okay? Let's see. So he's basically he's trying to get you to, like I say, feel victimized. He's trying to get you to remember times when you felt victimized, and times when you felt weaker, or basically when you feel like somebody tried to prove their superiority to you, and you felt that wasn't right. That's what he's doing right here. He then goes on to talk about when he first started at 17, and he basically completely talks about the contradiction that has occurred from back then, from the time when he was 17 until now, when he talks about basically when back in the day they took a colorblind approach to it, where basically of course they didn't see color. Now they're singling out racism. He basically says it as now we're re-examining white privilege. That basically you're singling out a specific race because of the color of their skin. That's not racism?
That phrase, tip of the iceberg, there's identity that people see, but then there's identity that's deeper.
Why are you here at Anytown Camp?
I think at first I just signed up because I thought it was going to be like leadership, and with that, like I want to go into business, so I thought that'd be good for me.
Actually, my Spanish teacher told me it was like this leadership camp and I could come here to get 50 service hours, which was like my main reason to come.
Oh, so you came here for the service hours?
Yeah.
Well, I'm here mostly because of my mother, who had signed me up for this camp, and I accepted that decision, and now I'm here.
My mom. And she told me, but like a couple of nights before, and I didn't want to come, but she packed my bag for me, so.
Right? Is that shit not great or what? So they ask all these kids, like, oh, so what are you, why are you here? Why are you here? And most of these kids are just all like, I really don't want to be here, or I'm here for the extra credits, or I'm here because my mom, I don't know, I don't want to be here. My mom packed my bags and told me I don't got a choice. Basically none of these kids want to be here. So I have a debate coming up real soon. It's going to be on this channel, and it's basically it's going to be red pill versus black pill. I personally believe that a lot of the next generation is going to be a lot smarter than we are, and basically they're not going to buy into this whole woke indoctrination shit. They're not gonna allow themselves to be brainwashed by a bunch of fucking woke idiots. Like you see, they see that their parents are basically kind of forcing them into this shit. So basically their parents are that fucking dumber generation that's buying into the base the whole, oh, racism is fucking alive and well in America and shit like that. That's their parents. Basically I'm pretty sure they're a lot more self-aware than that. At least I hope so. That's my hope, America. That's my damn hope.
Like most camps, you got workshops, games, and activities, but these activities are designed to have campers engage some of America's most sensitive topics. There's dialogue instead of debate.
When your actions are hurting or negatively affecting someone else, is that when you should be canceled? Is that what you're saying?
There's some role play.
I mean, it's just a compliment. Like, I want your skin color. Like, it's beautiful.
And there's a lot of listening.
A large part of this Anytown camp is making space for individuals and groups to be heard. And right now they're getting prepared for what they call a fishbowl, where groups will sit here in the middle, have a conversation, while people on the outside just shut up and listen.
Okay, so they say right here, basically this their whole place, it's not about debating and stuff like that. It's about basically shut up and listen, right? I personally, like I say, I prefer debating. I mean, honestly, in my mind, a good debate, it's almost like a good fight. It's two people, kind of going head to head, or maybe it's even a group of people. It's really not very productive when it's a group of people. It's really much better when it's just kind of two people discussing things out. But honestly, like I say, I feel like it's more like mental kung fu, whereas basically having one person be able to speak is more kind of like mental gymnastics, right? But then again, I mean, well, it's kind of I guess what I'm doing here, right? And basically I'm right here speaking. But as I say, we are going to be having a lot of debates coming up very soon. We're going to be doing long segments and stuff like that. So definitely stick with the channel, you guys. Check it out. I mean, we're already getting a lot of our videos removed from YouTube and stuff like that, just because of the fact our content, they don't like us basically having an opinion and stuff like that. Like I say, they're about mental gymnastics. We're about mental kung fu.
Today we're going to be practicing deep listening.
What does it mean to be black?
It's a part of us, but it's not all we are.
We're expected to be strong and able to handle everything, but being a black person, I don't necessarily feel like I always have the right to be more sensitive.
It's like an unspoken understanding that we all have. But as someone who grew up hearing constantly that I wasn't black enough, it does make me think, well, what am I supposed to be?
The fishbowl is like being under the real-time anthropological gaze of other folks. They're a fly on the wall in the living room, barbershop, and beauty salon. And when it's not objectifying, it can work.
All right, so just basically a circle of pure just victim mentality. Tell us about something to make everybody feel bad for you. Basically, everybody feels sorry for themselves. That's what it's all about. Basically, just victim mentality. Everybody just feels sorry for yourself. Nothing is your fault. Everybody. Basically, there's. Everything is out of your control. It's a systemic problem. There's nothing that you can do about it. Your life will never be good. You should just give up and just just let us take care of you. Basically, let us take control of everything. It's fucked. Fuck off with that shit, right? Basically, you know, they tell you, you know, oh, they want you to be a fly on the wall. Fuck that shit. You're not a fucking fly, people. You're not here just to observe life. You are life. You're here to be a part of society. You're not, you know, you're here to contribute to society. You're not here just to be one of the sheeple. You're not here just to be one of the numbers. You know, you are a person. You're not just a fly on the wall. You're not just an active observer. You're an active partaker. You're an active, you know, like I believe it was Robin Williams in the, you know, the Dead Poets Society. You know, life's a big play. You know, and everybody gets to contribute a part, right? What's your part gonna be? This one's mine.
Thank you for participating.
Midweek, campers break into small groups based on shared experiences like race or sexual orientation, and they talk about what ties them together. Later in the evening, there's culture night. It's like identity show and tell, where you present your culture to the camp through skits, discussion, and audience interaction.
So the things that bind us together in the Latinx community are our celebrations, dance, and music.
Chinese language is very tonal. For example,
That's who farted in Vietnamese.
Where are you from?
Oh, from Arizona.
No, but like, what part of China are you from?
Well, I'm not Chinese. I'm half Hispanic, half Vietnamese.
Oh.
Not a big fan of Thanksgiving. What you were taught for Thanksgiving is an absolute lie. It was a massacre.
Okay, so now they break everybody off into their own races. They segregate everybody by race, and you know they tell you, basically talk about your heritage and stuff like that. You know, the Asian good dude, you know, they ask him like, oh, what part of China are you from? Like San Francisco. Like, that's pretty funny shit. And then of course they bring up the Latinx, which yeah, I personally can't fucking stand. I think it's fucking totally retarded. You know, it's basically, yeah, that's another video for another time. You know, I think it's completely retarded. If you guys want to talk to me about it in the comments, go ahead. I would gladly respond to every one of your comments. But yeah, so now let's see the white culture.
So the first thing we noticed is that none of us really felt immediately connected to each other.
Another thing that we could agree on as a group is that white privilege is very dominant in our culture.
Another thing we wanted to take into consideration was taking accountability and just by making space for those that we have affected.
Right? Wasn't that pretty much everything that you thought it was going to be? Basically, you know, all these other races get to come out and talk about how proud they are of their race, and they get to talk about all the great things about their race and stuff like that. And then the white kids have to come out and talk about how ashamed they are of their race, and basically, you know, how bad their race is and how racist their race is. And basically, it's bullshit. Like I say, it's pure victim mentality. Basically, all the kids with an ethnicity of some sort that isn't white, they get to they get to feel victimized, and they get to feel like, you know, there's nothing they can do, and that they're you know, completely oppressed and stuff like that, and that the system is inherently going to keep them down forever, you know. And then the white kids, they have to make them feel that they are the oppressor and that they are the system, and that there's nothing they could do about it because it's just inherently within their DNA to keep other people down. So they basically, you know, they make them sit there, you know, like a dog between, like a, you know, they basically cuck these little white kids into feeling bad about the color of their skin, and then, you know, basically while all the other rest of the races kind of look on with disgust, you know, they sit there and just you could see the look of disgust on their face, like, why are these white people talking about their culture? White is not a culture. We hate white, right? You know, why are they allowed to speak? You know, basically that's the look they all have on their face. And then as you could see them, they're just sitting there talking to audible crickets. Yeah, I was just kidding. They gave him the little obligatory, you know, round of applause, little. Okay, now get the fuck off the stage.
Throughout the week, the energy would volley between the kumbaya atmosphere of smiles, hugs, and giggles, and uncomfortable conversations that created some tense moments.
Content warning. There will be some derogatory language, as well as violence.
Tonight we watched a bunch of skits about prejudice and how it's like a domino effect, how it starts with preconditioning and eventually leads to genocide.
Anytown staff asked us not to film these skits, but what we saw was kind of heavy. Counselors acted out some racist scenarios, some of which were loosely based on real experience.
This is real life for these folks that you know personally now.
We are crying because we just experienced this for the first time.
You have a right as a human being to not be okay with the way Black people are treated.
It gets me angry. All these emotions that I hate feeling.
I'm not gonna sit here and put my life on display in order to educate you.
Okay, so here they get into the real hardcore stuff. Here they they got to make the kids cry. Here's where they got to break them all down into feeling basically like they say I experienced stuff that I never experienced before. Like this, they're basically they're acting out the most extreme scenarios and stuff. That's why they didn't want the people to film them and stuff like that, because they're basically acting out extreme case scenarios that basically may have taken place back in the 1930s and 40s and shit like that. They're basically they have to make it seem like basically it's like, oh, what you doing there, boy? Oh, what you walking on my sidewalk now? They're basically making it seem like America's the most racist place in the world, and like if something needs to completely change, the entire place needs to be completely wiped clean. We need to completely start over. Hey, why don't you give us complete power to do that?
Other unaffiliated Anytowns have been accused of the skits being a bit too immersive. Here in Arizona, it got emotional, but most people seem to think what they saw was worth a conversation. I'd imagine, there's some folks that will look at what you're doing and say, man, they taking them kids up there at the top of that mountain and they indoctrinating them. All of that conversation around race and all of this is divisive.
These conversations don't divide, they actually unite, because you get through the BS.
Huh. Wonder what kind of people would be arguing that they're indoctrination camps. But yeah, so he goes, basically his response is, no, they're not. Right? Basically, no, it's not indoctrination camps. We just completely, fucking, jam racism down your throat, so that way we get it out of the way. That's their response to it.
In high school, have you had any kind of conversations close to what you've experienced here at camp?
Never. I've talked about race, but not to this level, not in the way that everyone is checked for the privileges that they have and don't.
I'm learning things here as a 19-year-old that I should have knew already.
In all 18 years of my life, I have not heard almost everything I've heard at this camp.
It's been an emotional ride. It's been really eye-opening, and I'm grateful for it.
I feel that in some way it is, in a way, trying to inflict some shame with how its programs are. I don't think it's intentional. I wouldn't say that that's at all what they're trying to do, but with some of the programs here, it can appear that way.
Okay, so like you see, these kids say here, that they've never experienced anything like this. The reason for that is because this isn't the way that the world really is. All this stuff, it's brainwashing. It's they don't experience this stuff, on a regular basis or in school or anywhere, because this stuff only happens at these types of camps. These camps are, like I said, they're not designed to teach you about what's really going on out there. They're designed to teach you about basically they're designed to teach you about there's a big scary monster outside, be afraid. That's what these camps are designed to teach you about. That's why they say they don't really see these on a regular basis. And then you have the last kid talking about, people may see them as kind of indoctrination camps, but I don't see them like that. It may, a lot of the curriculum and stuff may seem, kind of indoctrinate-esque and stuff like that, and maybe kind of sows the seeds of racism a little bit more. But I don't think that it was made with those intentions. Like I say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, you guys. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Y'all going too fast. It's 6 people and it's 15.
Do you really believe this place is making a difference?
Yeah, we're chiseling away at these things. We might not see a demand, but we're leaving it better for the people that come after us.
Well, there you have it, guys. Full-on indoctrination camps are popping up all over America. Make sure you guys keep a lookout for them. Make sure you guys, aren't sending you guys kids to this type of, a whole, woke mindset indoctrination. It's basically this whole victim mentality. It's really, really bad stuff. It's really, it's destroying our youth. It's destroying our whole, American foundation. It's destroying basically everything that we stand for, every sort of principle, every sort of ideal, basically anything that could make this place a better place to be. It's completely destroying it. So that being said, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you guys, watching the video and stuff like that. I really appreciate you guys sticking through to the end. They've recently been removing my videos and stuff like that. So, I really hope you guys will give me a follow on Rumble and stuff like that. Check out my videos there. You can see, the ones that they removed, because of course, Rumble doesn't censor you as much as, YouTube and stuff like that. We're also going to be popping up on BitChute, popping up all over the place. Like I said, I'm all over Truth Social. We have a Liberty Bowl Instagram now. We have, we're starting to get this taken off really, really well. We're going to be, making shirts and all that stuff that we're going to be selling online soon. It's going to be some real cool stuff going on. We're going to be having debates, all this stuff. So definitely make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, follow the channel. Share it with your friends. Get involved. Talk with me in the comments. We're a small channel right now. I only get like 2-3 comments. A video and stuff like that. So anything you guys have to say about any of it, I'll reply to all of them. Okay. That being said, you guys have a good one. Take it easy. Peace. Hey, look at me, man. I look like I could be Fox News' Brian Stelter, aka the warmongering establishment Stackwell Republican known as Sean Hannity. Subscribe to our YouTube page, or better yet, find us on Rumble to get more fat bowls, fucking good news, bad news, fucking crazy opinions, and good times. Fuck off.